Hello, my name is Valentine Soy, and my main topic that I wanted to focus on was job satisfaction from an immigrant's perspective. Here are some of the topics that I will be discussing today. I believe that after this presentation, you will see some of the different struggles that a person from another country will have to overcome in employment. Other subtopics that we will be discussing are things such as factors that influence job satisfaction. For example, do genetics and personality have any part in this? We will soon find out. Also, we will discuss where job performance fits in. Me and my family are immigrants, and we came to America in 2006. There were many obstacles ahead of them coming into employment force. First of them was being language. There was a huge language barrier. Second, the education attained in Russia was not applicable or valid to use in America. Considering that my father was a lawyer and my mother an accountant, you can assume that they had a pretty extensive educational background. In this situation, my parents had no choice but to take minimum wage jobs that were not enough for a living. I remember their first job to be at Cold Stone, and they weren't one of those people who would serve the customers ice cream. They were the after-hours cleaning crew. They would come in after hours and mop the floors, clean the counters, clean the toilets, basically clean the whole store. I remember this because sometimes I would tag along with them and just sit on the chair waiting for them to finish cleaning up. My parents were dissatisfied with their job, but they never expressed it to their children, but we knew. Their pay was low and the job didn't require any knowledge, so it was a big change for them to go from a lawyer or accountant to becoming the duo cleaning crew. My father didn't want to go to American law school, and it was understandable considering it was expensive and it was intimidating for him without good English skills. In order to make up for the low wage, my parents picked up multiple minimum wage jobs. Ultimately, my parents were dissatisfied with the jobs they had in the beginning when we first moved here. According to the text, it suggests that more complex jobs not only create job satisfaction but also increase performance. There's obviously nothing complex about cleaning floors and toilets, therefore, this job would be more considered a structured job rather than a complex job. Now, you may ask, what jobs are considered complex? According to the text, jobs such as managers, scientists, and engineers are considered complex jobs because they all require creativity, innovation, and imaginative mindsets. And these requirements might offer opportunity for intrinsic motivation. Also, an individual's perception of fairness matters too, and it will determine their job performance and job satisfaction. According to the text, even highly paid employees are likely to feel dissatisfied with their job if they perceive their pay to be unfair, therefore creating a connection between perceived fairness and actual rewards obtained. I don't believe that my parents perceive their pay unfairly because they can't expect to be paid a lot for mopping the floors and cleaning toilets. Another research showed that factors that determine job satisfaction may be embedded within the individual workers, and that there may be genetic predispositions that influence their level of satisfaction with their jobs. This all goes to show that there are various factors in play, and they all intertwine to determine an individual's level of satisfaction, and not one factor is responsible for it. In my chosen scientific journal, the research question that was addressed was how self-esteem and job complexity play a role in job performance and job satisfaction. It focused on the perceived job complexity rather than the actual job complexity, because the view on job complexity varies with every individual. The research design here that was used was a questionnaire of a little over 200 nurses. Results show that self-esteem doesn't matter as much as they found no significant impacts of it on job performance or job satisfaction. However, they found that jobs with optimal complexity outputted to greater job satisfaction, meaning that job complexity needed to be just right, not too low or not too high, in order to see improvements in individual level of satisfaction with their job. More specifically, nurses experienced less satisfaction with their successful performance if they felt underutilized or felt like the job was too easy for them. Considering my parents were basically custodians, their levels of job complexity was low, and so was their perception of it, considering they came from previously higher status job. This most likely contributed to my parents' unhappiness with their jobs. Now, what would I do to solve their issues 14 years ago? I found a few solutions through the text. The first solution involved change in pay structure, and there were two ways of doing this. First was to pay employees based on their skills or knowledge. This is known as skill-based pay or knowledge-based pay. Here, employees' pay would be determined by their level of knowledge, so higher education meant that they get paid more on average than the rest. Second way was to pay employees based on their performance, and the best employee would receive the best pay, and this is known as merit pay. Here, all employees would have a base rate, and those who perform better than others would get an additional rate. The second solution involved change in job structure. This involved job enlargement, where employees would be allowed to take on additional tasks, have more responsibility, and more engagement in the business. Between these two solutions, I, as an IO consultant, would advise against the first solution because skill-based pay would not be applicable to my parents since their formal education was done in Russia, not in America. Just like I said previously, my father, who earned his credentials to be a lawyer in Russia, cannot be used in America. Also, merit pay wouldn't work either because my parents were the only cleaning crew and there was no competition to compare against. I would advise to change the job structure as this might increase their level of commitment and job satisfaction. The scientific journal also showed that greater involvement in the business also means that there is greater complexity to the job, and we all know that optimal complexity is best for optimal job satisfaction. More tasks and responsibility will give room to employees for improvement and for growth, not only in their job, but also in their well-being.